सोचा क्यों मैं रखा। हेलो 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 हेलो। ऑडिबल। यार मैं अपने फ़ोन में खोल रहा था। कायरा। तेरिया अदावा, तेरिया अदावा। वेट यार, मैं कुछ कर रहा था अपने फ़ोन में। जेन्युइन अदावा। वेट यार, कुछ कर रहा था अपने फ़ोन में। हम्म। इंट्रोडक्शन तो हो गया मेरा।
Often used one way or another, especially in motion design. Very cool compositions can be created from primitives. Spline modeling uses objects of more complex shapes. They are assembled using splines and generators, which directly create a 3D. Most often, a primitive is converted and manually modified at the polygonal level. When converting, you fix the shape and number of polygons of the model. This is an irreversible process. That is, you cannot convert a polygonal object back to a parametric one. Modeling for subdivision surface. At the instrumentation level, this method practically does not differ from polygonal modeling, but it has its own subtleties and nuances of working with the model's topology. SDS subdivides the mesh into new polygons, increasing the level of detail and smoothing the geometry. This method is often used when creating any technical details, organics,
हम्म।
characters, and more. All types of modeling, one way or another, are finalized by object manager information about the object. This applies not only to primitives, but also to all other Cinema 4D objects. The Basic tab essentially duplicates the information found in the Object Manager, such as object name, layers, and display. We can also set the model's color for convenience and apply the transparency mode of the object. In particular, there is the X-ray command that only works on the selected object. The next tab is Chord. It displays the object's local coordinates, such as position, size, and rotation. It is also used to create control. And don't forget that to plane. This object differs from a polygon in that it has a separate setting for splitting along the sides. The next primitive is disk. It's a flat object that is a body of rotation. It has settings for the internal and external diameter.
काफी
It
ध्यान
has
से चला है बस.
segmentation along and across the object, orientation in space, and slice. The next object is Bezier. The Bezier object is suitable for creating arched or curved surfaces. By default, it is a flat object that has segmentation settings. If switched to the point editing mode, we will get a grid, the settings of which are set in the grid point. Using these points, we can customize the needed shape. There are also settings that allow you to close the model. Landscape. This is the object for creating various unpretentious landscapes. In the settings, you can change the size, segmentation, and set different variations of the landscape. Shape change in the form of animation. As a reminder, all deformers are purple. The main ones are in this drop-down window. There are also MoGraph deformers, simulations, and characters. Let's take a look at the frequently used deformers. I want to say a few words about using deformers. It is very simple to apply deformers. Just make it a child of the object. In case you want to apply a deformer to several objects, you need to group them. Next, add a deformer to this group.
मुझको लगता था डिफॉर्मर वैसे काम करता है जैसे बैंड
When applying multiple deformers to objects, you need to group them. Next, add a deformer to this group. A child of the object. In case you want to apply a
object strengthそうですかあ
deformer to several objects, you need to group them. Next,
हाँ जी।
और बाथरूम का बटन ना जरा उससे जलाइयो, ब्रश से करंट आ रहा है उसमें।
ठीक है, किसने खाया?
अभी बता रहा, मैंने कहा मैं तो याद रहता मुझे, तो जैसी बरसात शुरू होती है मैं तो ब्रश उठाती हूँ और जलाती हूँ बंदी से।
बच्चों को थोड़ी ना बताओगे पर। मेरे साथ इसमें ये क्यों हो रहा है?
वो प्लास्टिक का है ना, उससे बंद करियो बटन, क्योंकि अब ऐसे नाली जाती है।
रिफॉर्म में चल रहा
add a deformer to this group. If, for example, now change their order, then you see what the result is. When applying multiple deformers, keep a close eye on their hierarchy, as the lowest deformer affects the ones above. If I, for example, now change their order, then you see what the result is. So let's start with the bevel deformer. This is perhaps the most basic deformer in modeling. It is used very often. By default, this deformer creates chamfers.
सीधे मौत अप्पू तेरे। गाने चला ले यार। दो सही बार में चला मार। मैंने मशाそうですか。ब्लेंडर में पता कैसे करते हैं? आई थिंक इसके
On all faces of the model, but you can select from the available mode.
मेरे में टॉपोलॉजी की नहीं दिख रही।
This is perhaps the most
दो सेकंड।
Hey, welcome back for fix in this case. I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, but you can see I have this little active tool text on my viewport. You know, if you click it, you can kind of use your last active tool, which maybe is handy in some cases. You can V to go to your viewport settings or view configure and then go over to this HUD tab. And down here, active tool is checked on. So if I uncheck that, that text will go away. All right, I hope that helps someone not pull.
Announcement is Optimus. You delete. They're all selected.
Create a plane. We can select the polygons. Then choose the polygons mode. Select one polygon. Invert. This way you'll
Go to display drop down menu in your viewport to find different अबे भाई ये नहीं इसके वो होते हैं ना सेगमेंट्स मेरे को वो देखना है हाँ आर अलग है एस अलग है और नॉर्मल वाला और अलग है
Basic deformer in modeling. It is used very often. By default, this deformer creates chamfers on all faces of the model.
रुकिए यार एक बार
Hey, this is Jonas from the Max on Mouth. Solo the head. Then I'm gonna go to polygon mode, and here you can see that I already prepared a polygon selection, And to really work on the inner mouth, it would be good if I could hide
अगर मैं इसके पॉलीगॉन तो भाई जब भी नहीं दिख रहा है ये
everything.
क्योंकि एक बार अगर मैं C40 दूसरे वाले में करता हूँ कहाँ गया
Model, but you can select from the available modes, points and polygons. In the points mode, chamfers are made from all points of the model. And in the polygons mode, the polygons are extruded and displaced. Accordingly, each mode has its own settings. For creating to get some tag that and select set selection. Depending on the selected mode and the selected part of the object, be it a point, face, or a polygon, the deformer works of subdivision of the deformer. It allows you to create wave deformations of an object of the model. It's not important. The
bullshit
object
ये तो मैं
tab is
all the time समझ ही जाऊंगा मेरे को तुम पहले ये बताओ ये तेरा मैच कैसा आ रहा है भाई स्टैंडर्ड रिसीवर प्रो में भाई कोई बताओ ना मेरे को इसमें मैच कैसे आएगा दोस्त
take a look at them properly. Going ahead, the Hi. Also settings that allow you to close the chord. It displays the object's local coordinates, such as position, size, and rotation. Object. And in this case, the size number of subdivisions,
ओह आई सी मैंने सेगमेंट्स नहीं बढ़ा रखे इसके कहाँ गया बहन
and fillet settings.
Attributes, height segments, there's no viewport menu here. Click display. And the default is, this is called Guru shading, which is just the default, how it's displays we our attributes.
Oh, I see. This is what I want. Tools.
For each object, these settings and the number of tabs will be different. The Fung tab is a standard tag that...
अब बोलो बहन
Now let's take a look at the
पंखा
most
तेज
commonly used generators. For their work, generators need additional child objects. Based on these objects, new
पंखा
geometry
तेज
will
कम
be
कर
created. All generators are marked in green. They can be found in the command bar or the main menu. Subdivision surface objects require polygonal objects or primitive objects to work properly. Going ahead, the extrude, rotate, loft, and sweep generators use splines. And a little side note. Generator objects do not have points or polygons of their own, so conversion is used to refine them at the polygon level. But if you add a correction deformer, you will have access to points, faces, and polygons by selecting the appropriate mode. Deformer, you will have access to points, faces, and polygons by selecting the appropriate mode. But if you need a little objects to work properly. Going ahead, the extrude, rotate, loft, and sweep generators use splines. And a little objects to work properly.
अगर मैं इसमें से सेगमेंट हटा दूँ तो
Going ahead, the extrude, rotate, loft, and sweep generators use splines. And a little side note. Generator objects do not have points or polygons of their own, so conversion is used to refine them at the polygon level. But if you add a correction deformer, you will have access to points, faces, and polygons by selecting the appropriate mode.
नल कैसे बना रहा है ये नल बनाना बता भाई लग कहाँ गया
I check the icon settings and load up the file. With the null for your nulls. In the following example, I'll choose this shape and increase its
All right, in this video, what we're going to do for grouping and parenting, whether these are examples I've used previously, something like the bottle here is something I've just grabbed from the content browser, but really the star of the show or the video is the null object.
कुछ बना दिया।
Now,
कहाँ
without slowing down the system very much. Between them will be. We'll talk about this later on modeling for subdivision. Modeling for as this to for a high parameter appropriate mode at the polygon level. But
भाई ये दोनों सिलेक्ट क्यों हो जाते हैं और सब सिलेक्ट क्यों हो जाते हैं? मुझे प्रॉपर्टीज को इसकी देखनी है ना। तो चल जाता है, कभी नहीं चलता है कलोड़ा।
But if you add a correction deformer, you will have access to points, faces, and polygons by selecting the appropriate mode. Let's go back to subdivision surface. Generators, like other objects, have tabs with parameters and settings. The first two tabs are exactly like those of any other object.
ओ
The most
यार
important thing is in the Object tab. The subdivision surface object subdivides the surface of objects and rounds them. The subdivision of polygons is set by the parameters subdivision editor and render, which adjusts the subdivisions in the viewport and in the render accordingly. This is done so that you can set a high quality subdivision for the render and not load the model in the viewport. By setting the value to 1, each polygon in a model will be split into 4 new polygons. By setting the value to 2, it is split by 16, and so on. It makes no sense to set a value higher than 3, as this slows the program very much. Note, the closer the edges are, the less rounding between them will be. We'll talk about this later on modeling for subdivision.
अरे माँ चुपचाप चल, क्या बकचोदी रहती है। लूप पाथ वेट
Modeling for subdivision. Program very much. Note, the closer the edges are, the less rounding between them will be. We'll talk about this later on modeling for subdivision.
Bro, fuck me hard. अब वो वाले ऑप्शन कैसे आएंगे भाई?
There you go. Fun or and then and then if you want to make it editable, you click this button or press C, and then
ये बटन इसलिए होता है make this editable. Okay, got it. Goat.
then, well, I'm in my loop path cut tool right now, so you guys remember that. This is to go into the object mode. So if you just want to select the entire object, you go into object mode. But then if you want to edit in point mode, you would click here, edge mode, face mode. And when it comes, sometimes it's easier to move edges. And sometimes it's easier to move faces. Or
Apply कैसे होगा ये?
geometry there. So if I select this one, we're going over here.
안녕하세요.
Consider the next parameter. The Type tab has various subdivision settings. Usually the default type is used. The subdivide UVs parameter is the setting for how the UV coordinates should be changed when divided. This generator acts only on the first sub-object of the hierarchy. In order to influence several objects with one generator, you need to place them in the connect generator. We'll talk about it a little later. But it looks like this. The next generator is cloth surface. It is used to create thickness for flat objects, most often for creating fabrics. The thickness parameter is responsible for this. The subdivision parameter is responsible for subdividing polygons, as in the subdivision surface generator, but does not apply anti-aliasing. To make a fabric simulation, you need to convert the model into a polygon object and apply the cloth tag. Selecting the desired object, right-click, go to Simulation Tags, select the cloth tag. Next, select the object that will interact with the fabric. Apply the Cloth Collider tag. Now, if we animate it, we can see how the fabric simulation works.
इतना इजी होता है इसमें?
The next generator is cloth surface.
안녕하세요. Plane.
It is used to create a subdividing polygon object. And apply the cloth tag. Selecting the desired object, right-click, go to Simulation Tags, select the cloth tag. Next, select the object that will interact with the fabric. Fabric simulation, you need to convert the model into a polygon object. And apply the cloth tag. Selecting the desired object, right-click, go to Simulation Tags, select the cloth tag. Next, select the object that will interact with the fabric. Apply the Cloth Collider. Tag. Now, if we animate it, we can see how the fabric simulation works.
हाँ भाई हमारा ना हुआ.
try to create this stylized chewing.
Hi, Alt key.
ये बढ़वा क्या कर रहा है? क्या टाइम हो गया? 12:30।
कवर। अरे क्यों तुमको इतना, तुमको पेशेंस नहीं है क्या? पेशेंस नहीं है क्या? अरे तुम गधे हो क्या थोड़े से? क्या पेशेंस? अरे तुम रेलिंग के ऊपर क्यों चढ़ रहे हो? जाओ जाओ चल, अच्छा चलो चलो अभी ना, अभी रेलिंग पे चलो, चलो छोड़ो इसको, अभी रेलिंग पे चढ़ो। नहीं नहीं नहीं, तुमको है ना, ये लो लो, चढ़ो चढ़ो रेलिंग पे चढ़ो। अरे डायरेक्ट जंप कर सकते हैं इडियट। नहीं जंप कर सकते डायरेक्ट। खींच मैं पहले इनको खींचो खींचो। खींचेगा जो है। खींचा ही नहीं जा रहा है। तो ये खाली पानी पीता है, खाना नहीं खाता है। यार जल्दी आओ रे। अरे ये देख फ्लैश कौन सा देखा ना बरोबर। अरे जंप ही होगा, मैं क्या करूं? क्योंकि देखो जजमेंट ही नहीं है। हाँ मेरे को जजमेंट नहीं है, तुमको है ना, कर लो मेरे कीबोर्ड माउस से। बड़बड़ बड़बड़ करते रहते 24 घंटे। तो तू ही लास्ट है। हाँ तो एक काम करो, तुम खेलो मेरे कीबोर्ड माउस से। खेलो।
ये टॉक्सिक है भाई ये। भाई 3-3 4-4 सेट में 4D यूज करूँ क्या मैं? बहन की चूत। इसको डिलीट करना पड़ेगा मेरे को। कुछ नहीं है बहन, देख। भाई सब यूज करते हैं, ठीक है। हम्म। Add should be the- 3-4 बार इतनी बार करना पड़ती है। S24 थोड़ा नया है। चलो यार चलते हैं। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग गाइस, इट वाज अ